Welcome to Power Mind Coded. Respect is not something you ask for. It is something people give you instinctively. And the men who receive the most respect rarely demand it, explain themselves, or speak often. They speak less. Most men believe respect comes from proving intelligence, asserting opinions, or defending their position loudly. That belief is exactly why they are disrespected. Respect is not logical, it is psychological. It is decided in seconds, not conversations. The human brain evaluates dominance before it evaluates character, before it evaluates morality, before it evaluates intent. And one of the strongest signals of dominance is restraint. Men who speak less signal restraint. When a man speaks constantly, he reveals urgency, he reveals insecurity, he reveals the need to be acknowledged. When a man speaks sparingly, he signals self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency creates authority. Authority creates respect. Silence forces others to adjust. In any social interaction, someone sets the tone, someone sets the pace, someone carries the emotional weight. The man who speaks the least carries the least weight. The man who carries the least weight has the most control. This is why silence feels heavy. People feel evaluated when there is no verbal feedback. They feel exposed. They feel uncertain. Uncertainty makes people cautious. Cautious people behave better. Men who talk too much remove uncertainty. They explain themselves. They soften their edges. They reveal their limits. And once limits are visible, respect declines. Men who speak less do not rush to be understood. They are comfortable being misunderstood temporarily. This is critical. Men who crave understanding often sacrifice respect to get it. They clarify, they justify, they defend. Each explanation lowers their position, because explanations imply permission. Men who are respected do not ask permission to exist. They occupy space calmly. They let others interpret them. Interpretation creates projection. Projection creates myth. Myth sustains respect. This is why the quiet man in the room often feels powerful even when he says nothing. People assume there is depth behind silence, and they are usually right. Men who speak less are harder to challenge. Challenges require openings. Words create openings. Emotion creates openings. Silence creates none. This is why loud men are tested constantly. They invite response. They invite debate. They invite correction. Quiet men do not. People instinctively avoid challenging what they cannot read. They fear miscalculation, and fear preserves respect. Men who speak less also control timing. They do not respond immediately. They pause. That pause changes everything. Pauses signal thoughtfulness. They signal control. They signal confidence. Fast responses signal reactivity. Reactive men are not respected. They are managed. The man who pauses forces others to wait. Waiting reverses power. The one who is waited on leads. This is subtle but absolute. Respect is built through these micro-signals, not through speeches, not through arguments, not through emotional expression, through restraint. Men who speak less allow others to expose themselves. In silence, people fill the gap.
They overtalk, they overshare, they reveal insecurities and intentions. The quiet man collects information without effort. Information is leverage. Leverage protects respect. This is why men who speak less are rarely blindsided. They see things coming. They notice patterns others talk past. They observe tone, posture, timing. While others speak to feel important, they listen to understand position. This is the foundation. Respect follows men who control themselves first.
Men who are disrespected usually don't notice when it begins. Disrespect doesn't arrive as an insult. It arrives as a shift in behavior. Interruptions, dismissive tone, casual challenges, subtle disregard. And almost always, it starts when a man gives people too much access to his thoughts. Talking too much creates familiarity. Familiarity dissolves hierarchy. Men who speak less preserve distance. Distance preserves respect. This is especially visible in work and leadership environments. The men who are constantly questioned, debated, or undermined are usually the ones who explain themselves the most. They justify decisions, they seek consensus, they over-communicate intent. What they don't realize is that explanation invites evaluation. Evaluation invites challenge. Men who speak less skip this entire process. They state what is necessary, they enforce what matters, and they remain silent about everything else. Silence shuts down debate before it begins. This is why calm, quiet leaders face less resistance than loud, emotional ones. People don't test what feels solid, they test what feels flexible. Talking too much makes a man feel flexible. Men who speak less also protect themselves from manipulation. Manipulation requires emotional hooks, approval, guilt, sympathy, fear of conflict. Men who talk a lot reveal these hooks naturally. They express concern about how they're perceived. They explain motives. They share doubts. Every detail becomes leverage. Men who speak less reveal none of this. Without emotional access, manipulation fails. This frustrates insecure people. They escalate, they probe, they test boundaries. And when boundaries are met with calm silence instead of reaction, the behavior stops, because silence communicates finality. Men who speak less don't argue to win respect. They let consequences do it. In conflict, this difference is dramatic. A loud man argues. He defends his position emotionally. He tries to prove he's right. A quiet man listens. He waits. He allows the other person to reveal their emotional state. The emotional man becomes reactive. The quiet man remains composed. Observers instinctively side with composure. Not logic, not morality, composure. This is why calm men win conflicts, even when they say very little. They let the other person lose control publicly. Loss of control equals loss of respect. Men who speak less also avoid ego traps. Ego wants recognition. It wants validation. It wants to be seen. Speech feeds ego. Silence starves it. A man who starves ego gains discipline. Discipline builds consistency. Consistency builds trust, and trust paired with restraint creates authority. This is why men who speak less often rise quietly. They don't announce ambition. They don't campaign for approval. They don't explain every move. They let outcomes speak. Outcomes are respected.
words are forgotten. Men who speak less also understand that respect is fragile. Once lost, it is rarely restored. That is why they are careful with speech. They do not complain publicly. They do not vent emotionally. They do not speak when angry. Anger lowers status instantly, even justified anger. Silence preserves dignity. Dignity preserves respect. This does not mean men who speak less are passive. They are selective. They speak when words change outcomes. They stay silent when words would only release emotion. This selectivity is rare, and rarity creates value. Most men speak to feel relief. Quiet men endure discomfort to maintain position. This is why they are rarely disrespected. People sense that disrespect will not be tolerated, not emotionally, but structurally. There will be consequence, not drama. Consequence is feared more than confrontation. Men who speak less also control pacing in relationships. They don't rush connection, they don't overshare, they don't fill silence with reassurance. This creates tension. Tension creates respect. People value what requires effort to access. Men who speak less require effort. Men who talk too much give themselves away freely. Respect never follows what is freely given. It follows what is earned. This pattern repeats everywhere, at work, in friendships, in leadership, in conflict. Men who speak less are not respected because they are quiet. They are respected because they are controlled. Control signals strength. Strength commands respect. This is the core truth most men ignore.
Men who speak less are not respected because they are silent. They are respected because their silence is intentional. Intent changes perception. A man who cannot stop talking appears impulsive. A man who chooses when to speak appears disciplined. Discipline is sensed immediately. In social settings, quiet men are often underestimated at first, but that underestimation never lasts, because they do not seek attention. They do not compete for dominance verbally. They do not react to provocation. And when conflict appears, they remain unchanged. This consistency is unsettling. Most men change behavior under pressure. Their tone shifts, their posture tightens, their speech accelerates. Quiet men remain the same. This signals emotional stability. Emotional stability is rare, and rarity creates authority. In relationships, this principle becomes even more powerful. Men who speak less do not chase reassurance. They do not over-clarify feelings. They do not fill silence with explanation. They allow space. Space forces others to invest. When someone invests effort, they attach value. When value increases, respect follows. Men who speak too much remove that space. They remove mystery. They remove tension. Without tension, respect decays. Quiet men also set boundaries without announcing them. They do not threaten. They do not warn repeatedly. They do not negotiate self-respect. They simply disengage or enforce consequence. This behavior teaches people how to treat them. Respect is learned through outcome, not instruction. In professional environments, men who speak less are rarely micromanaged. Why? Because they project confidence in their own judgment. They do not ask for constant approval. They do not explain every action. They do not defend themselves emotionally. Managers trust what feels stable. Colleagues respect what feels grounded.
Silence communicates grounding. Men who speak less also avoid social exhaustion. They conserve energy, while others spend emotional energy talking, explaining, reacting, and defending. Quiet men observe. Observation leads to insight. Insight leads to advantage. This is why quiet men often move unexpectedly. Others didn't see it coming because they mistook silence for absence. Silence is not absence, it is presence without exposure. Men who speak less reveal themselves slowly. This allows them to control narrative. People fill gaps with assumptions, and assumptions are easier to shape than arguments. Loud men fight perception directly. Quiet men let perception form around them. This is far more effective. In moments of disrespect, quiet men do not escalate emotionally. They do not shout. They do not insult. They do not seek to dominate verbally. They pause. That pause communicates choice. Choice implies power. The man who can pause has options. The man who reacts has none. This is why quiet men are rarely pushed too far. People sense that consequences exist, even if they are not visible. Invisible consequences are feared more than visible threats. Men who speak less do not need to intimidate. Their calm does it for them. Over time, patterns form. People stop interrupting them. They stop challenging them casually. They stop testing boundaries, not because they were told to stop, but because they learned. This learning happens subconsciously. Respect grows silently, just like authority. The biggest mistake men make is believing respect comes from being likable. Likability is unstable. It shifts with mood, context, and benefit. Respect is structural. It is built through consistency, restraint, and consequence. Men who speak less excel at all three. They do not change based on audience. They do not bend under pressure. They do not trade dignity for comfort. This makes them predictable in principle, but unpredictable in action. That combination is powerful. Predictable values create trust. Unpredictable response creates caution. Trust and caution together create respect. This is the final understanding. Speaking less does not make you invisible. It makes you difficult to challenge. It makes your words heavier. It makes your presence felt. The goal is not silence. The goal is control. Control of speech, control of emotion, control of timing. When you control these, others adjust. They speak carefully. They behave respectfully. They think twice. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Welcome to Power Mind Coded. Speak when words matter. Stay silent when silence is stronger. Because the men who speak less are never disrespected.